let us talk about the real details about it. If we decide, if you leave here today and decide that you're going to develop a budget, what is the first thing that you're going to do? How you start this thing? You start by monitoring your expenses. Keep track of every expense. Every dollar you spend, keep track of it. However you do it, whether you write it down on a sheet of paper, whether you keep the receipt and you put the receipt in a little envelope, whether you get one of those accordion little files that you get at Staples and you put a little slot for the different categories. However you do it, the first thing you need to know how much you're spending and what you're spending it on. Fortunately, with the technology these days, most of us can just look at our bank statement, or we can just go online, and some of the banks even categorize it for you. They have all kind of tools that help you to figure out where your money is going, so you can actually see it. So it is not difficult anymore. Divide your expenses into major categories and determine total expenditure on a monthly basis. So that's, again, this is how you're coming up with the budget now, to find out how much you're spending each month and what category. Compare your gross monthly expenses with your monthly income. It's that easy. You know what the monthly income is. Now that you have seen your monthly expenses, not only have you seen the total of your expenses, but you have seen the different categories to which your expenses is going. Now you can compare it with your monthly income. Am I spending more than I'm making? If you find out that that is the case, you need to take action. Am I spending less than I'm making? If you find that that is the case, you still need to take action, because it means that you have some surplus, and you don't just leave the surplus sitting down, you do something with it, right? So therefore, either way, you need to take action. All right. Review your monthly expenses to ensure that the total is at least equal to the total income. If expenses exceed income, it means you have been borrowing to finance your monthly expenses. That's what it means. There's no way you can spend more than you earn unless you borrow the difference. It has to come from somewhere, whether you take an overdraft, or whether you borrow it from a friend, or whether you spend it on the credit card. Any way you look at it, it's borrowing, because there's the only way you can spend more than you earn. So you have to do something. Reduce expenses, or increase your income. You have one of those. And I know, like I mentioned before, reducing expenses, it requires financial discipline, and in some cases it requires severe sacrifices. And this is the part that where it gets hard. Most of us do not want to make the sacrifices that we need to make in order to make this thing work. Because we might recognize that in order for us to really take control of our finances and to reduce our spending, we might have to sell the car. You see what I mean? Who's going to want to do that? We don't want to do that. We might even realize that the house, we might have to sell the house, because the house is too big and the mortgage is too much. Maybe we just need a house that is a one-bedroom house, and the mortgage on that is much smaller. We can manage that. So we have to take serious decisions. That is, sometimes these decisions are very difficult. But the truth of the matter is, if we're really going to get ourselves out of that situation, we have to do this. And the truth is, it's only for a time. Because once you take control and you get out, it only gets better from there. And now you're building up with a solid background, because you don't have all this debt, and you know what I mean? So you're moving forward now for the long term. So it does require sacrifice. I said that, listen, I need to spend X amount on dining out, based on what you have done with your budget, and you see what you can afford, and you need to spend 200, 100 a month. That means one time eat out. That's it for the month. And you're eating out 4 times. What does that tell you? There's no point in having the budget if you're just going to ignore it. You have to be disciplined and stick with the budget. Now, how to budget on a fluctuating income. So now so far I have talked about budgeting, and you have an idea how you arrive at the expense that you are and the categories and so on. and you know what your income. Now, I have basically assumed so far that you know what your income is. That's because you're employed and you know that you earn $5,000 a month or whatever. Okay? What if that is not the case? What if you are not employed, you're self-employed, and you don't earn a fixed amount every month? You go based on contract. You're a plumber and somebody call you to do a job, and you bill $7,000 for that one job, and you don't get any more job for the rest of the month. Or in another month, you get 5 jobs and you make $30,000 in the month, right? So it's fluctuating income. How do you budget on something like that? I'm saying one approach to do that is to estimate the annual income. And how can you estimate it? By looking at the history. You can go back the last 4 or 5 years. How much did I make each of these last years? Look, that gives you an idea how much you might make. It might not be true, but it gives you a starting point, an estimate. Okay? So that gives you an idea. You can use that as your budgeted income. Another approach is to deposit all incomes into a special savings account. So all of these contracts that you earn, you just put them all in an account. And then you have another account, which is like the family account. And every month, you transfer a fixed amount, as if this fixed amount is your income. So now you have a fixed amount to work with. And you will know how much to transfer based on what is going into in this account, right? So that's how you do that. And so now you are in the same position like everybody else. You have a fixed income, you budget your expenses accordingly. Can't stress enough how important this is. You will dispose of this monthly salary according to the same budget mix that we have discussed above. Okay, so that's how you do it if you are on a fluctuating income. Any questions so far? This person makes $3,650 per month. Those are the expenses. The first one there is tithe, and that is based on. Remember, I told you about some reference to the church. In the churches, we give a portion of our income, 10%. We call it tithe, and what that does, that is an amount that we give back, because the belief is that all of the income that you have is God-given income. Amen. And so God say, give me back 10% to use for the propagation of the work. And so you give 10%. So that's why. Well, let's say this person doesn't do any tithe, save a little bit. So they put $30 a month towards the savings. They put $1,500 towards rent or mortgage. This is the what do you call it now, housing, right? And you can see them: utilities, cable, clothing, food, student loan, car payment, transportation, all of that. And so the whole 3,650 is used up. What would you say about that person? Is this a reasonable, good budget? No. No.
It's missing. It's when you were talking earlier about the 50,
yes,
20,
right.
You're missing stuff about savings and debt.
Right.
It's missing. You have your wants and your
it has a little bit of saving, but look how much it is, 1%.
Yeah.
And as far as the debt, where is the debt? Student's loan is paying. It actually has some student loan there, $200. So not too bad. So that's 5% plus 1. That's 6%. Right there on the debt. We're about to say debt and savings.
Car payment too.
The car payment, $400.
I'm saying it's 11%.
11%. So imagine 11% of your income goes on your car payment.
But the transportation, other, what is that?
Transportation,
Parking maybe.
transportation other. That would be
Part of the
Taking the bus.
yes, that would be taking the bus and any other kind of transportation related costs that you do. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so car insurance is in the car payment? Where's the car insurance?
The car insurance, I think it would be, well, there's no category there for car insurance, not even there. But it probably will be covered in maybe in the transportation other.
Car payment one,
Maybe
transportation.
that is that.
Insurance.
Oh, I can tell you that because I do that all the time. So I have a car. I gotta get to the train station and then
You drive somewhere.
However, when I have to travel like on TTC because I'm in Hamilton, so when I gotta get on TTC now I need to go and pay, right? So it's
look at this other budget. Same income, but look at this spending now. This person put 27% in savings, 27% goes on mortgage. There is no cable, no student loan, didn't borrow any, no car payment, but the transportation is other whatever is still there, and that person has some entertainment as well, $75. What do you think about that one now? Better? So could you live without cable?
Definitely.
And could you live without a car? A car?
Well,
So
you can live without a car payment.
car without a car payment. Ah, there you go. I like that. Warren Buffett. I don't think he has any car payments. Yes.
But shouldn't you have an emergency fund too? Because you're like if anything happens, you're in trouble.
Absolutely, that is true.
And
So,
then
so,
the
the,
first
so
one, 40% is
Mhm.
too much to pay for living. Like when you talk about trying to get ahead,
yes,
40% of your income is too much to pay for mortgage.
absolutely, for the first one. Now, with regards to this emergency, this person has 27% savings, so I would say that emergency could be covered under that.
But I thought you're supposed to have emergency fund on top.
You should have emergency fund. That is true. So, but these are just some samples anyway. But you're right, and I'm glad you're paying attention. I like that. Look at this one over here. Same income. So this person
Living above them.
does not have any saving. Well, a little bit of saving. He pays $30 in savings. The mortgage is 45%, or the rent, whatever it is, 45%. Utilities 10%, that's 350. Look at the food, 15%. And by food, I mean I should mention food is just your groceries, and the one at the bottom that says entertainment, that is where you would have dining out. So that person is not only spending a lot of money on food, so maybe he buy expensive food, I don't know, or he buy shops at the expensive supermarkets, but he's